Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Hello, hello. Can you get them? All right. Hey, welcome to Dad's Garage. What's up? We're just actually going to do a big improv show. It's going to be amazing. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be here. We know that you all are very busy people. We know that this is a crazy time of year. We know the election is in the air because it's so cold outside. So you know that something's happening in Atlanta. But we are very excited to be one of the last forums that's going to happen here in this city. And we're excited to have a conversation with a number of the candidates that are trying to be your next mayor of this city. And so the goal of tonight is to keep tonight super positive. We're looking to make sure that we can drill down and really get a sense of who these folks are. And if you're, by sound of kazoo, how many of you are still undecided on who you're going to be voting for this election? All right. Well, I hope they hear our Atlanta vuvuzelas around the world because we got a lot of undecided voters in this room. So this is a really, really important election. This is an election that is at a time when a lot of change is happening in this city. We always say at the Center for Civic Innovation that Atlanta is a true tale of two cities. On one hand, we have so many things that are going right for this city that you can read the headlines and you can be proud of this city. You can see that we are competitive. We have some brands and names that are known around the world, but we remain a tale of two cities because on the flip side, we still have one of the highest income inequality gaps in the United States. There's a 96% chance if you're born poor in Atlanta, you die poor in Atlanta. And if this is home for you, that's personal. And it means that leadership, especially at a time right now, especially today, leadership is so important for how cities will actually grow and who would they grow for. And my name is Rohit Malhotra. I'm one of the team members at the Center for Civic Innovation. And our organization is focused on shaping public policy by empowering you, by empowering people to shape the future of the city. And over the past year, we had no idea what that was going to look like. And the first thing we did was we invited a number of the candidates to come have a candid 90-minute conversation as if it were a job interview, which it is. It is a job. We had them have a 90-minute conversation on who they were as people, why they wanted this job, and what their vision was and what the skills were that they had to move this job forward. And we didn't realize how many people we would touch through those interviews. We ended up creating a website called voteatl.org. And on that site, you can hear each and every one of those interviews. And in addition to that, we actually put a job application out. We took the enumerated responsibilities of what it means to be mayor, which a number of you have those sheets in front of you now, and we asked questions on, are you the right person to be filling this job? Not, do you have the right swag? Do you say the right thing? Do you have the right zinger? But are you the right person? And we're going to explore that conversation one last time tonight, and we need your help in evaluating whether they answer the questions or not. So we're excited to have this conversation. There are a few things that I wanted to say. Number one, if anybody believes that their vote doesn't matter, they are dead wrong. The current mayor of Atlanta was elected in an election that was decided by 714 votes. 714. That's smaller than most Indian weddings. And that's something that matters. Your voice actually matters in this. And this will, given the number of candidates that we have, and although it's reduced, your vote is going to matter, and you have to participate, which means we have to know exactly what this role is supposed to do. So we're going to explore a few different things tonight. We're going to explore whether this person is qualified. We're going to explore whether this person is collaborative. We're going to explore whether this person is honest and authentic, and whether they're people-driven, and whether they have a vision for this city moving forward. And we're going to go through each of those sections of this job application with you tonight. Is that cool? You're good with that? All right, perfect. So you have to make everybody who's watching at home just be like, oh my God, this is so crazy. They're going, like, do it. If I need to play some Killer Mike or whatever, I'm happy to blaze it through there. We ready? This we pretend it's the Atlanta United playing. But hopefully, yeah, whatever. Just 2 dates that I want to put on your calendars. Number one is the election is next week. Yes, it is here, November the 7th. You must vote. You can early vote right now if you'd like to, but November the 7th, please, by that point, please make sure your voice is heard. And if this goes to a runoff, we will be going back to the polls on December the 5th. A few thank yous. Can y'all give it up for Dad's Garage, please? After we had, unfortunate weather that affected so many people around this country, we had to move our forum that was going to happen in September. We moved it, and Dad's Garage was so awesome about being like, we'd love to host it. We'd love to make this home for this event. They're amazing, amazing people. Thank you for your leadership, Dad's Garage. Thank you to Creative Loafing, which keeps on fighting, keeps on doing the work, reporting the tough stories that are out there. Thank you for live streaming this with us. Thank you to King of Pops. They're killing it. They're just everywhere. It's amazing. You keep us proud. You are Atlanta's official mascot. Thank you, Groundwork Studios, who will be putting everything up here so you can see everything visually on what comes out of tonight. Thank you, Groundwork Studio. And thank you to an entrepreneur and an amazing friend of CCI, Alex Acosta, for doing our photography tonight. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get us started. And as I mentioned, there's a hashtag. It's VoteATL. Let's make that thing trend tonight. Let's make sure every single person is paying attention to that. So feel free to send out those responses. As I mentioned, most of these, or almost all of these candidates did a 90-minute interview with us, and we ended those interviews with one simple question, which was, what was the theme song that would play if you were on the day one of you being elected mayor? And so we're going to bring them out to their theme songs, which are going to be fantastic. So I need your energy in here tonight. Let's get y'all ready to get started? All right, awesome, cool. So first off, we're going to welcome our first candidate for tonight, Miss Kathy Woolard. Let's give it up for Kathy Woolard, former city council president. All right. Beautiful song choice. Killed it. There you go. Awesome. Thank you for being here, Kathy. Second up, we have our city council president, Mr. Caesar Mitchell, Councilman Caesar Mitchell. Council President, can you join us on stage? All right. Thank you for being here. There it is. You can dance. It's okay. Go ahead. Didn't wear the tie today, so he knew. All right. Yeah, we'll just play. Yeah, all right, there you go. You know, it's music sometimes that keeps the peace for us, right? Next up, we have Mr. Glenn Wrightson. Glenn Wrightson, please give it up for him. All right. There you go. So we didn't have a leadership breakfast with Glenn. We were going to just play the sound of a leaf blower, but we didn't. We picked another jam for you. Next up, we have former Fulton County Commissioner, Mr. John Eves. Please give it up for John Eves. All right. There you go. It's cool, man. Beautiful. We kept it colder in here so y'all could warm us up. You know, that's it. Next up, we have council member Miss Keisha Lance Bottoms. we had a long conversation about your song. You remember that? Like we were gonna do "Started from the Bottoms, Now We're Here," but we didn't end up going with that. So this was a good choice, Kanye, personal favorite. Next up, we have Council Member Kwanzaa Hall. Kwanzaa Hall. All right. So each and every one of these candidates RSVP'd. If they're not able to make it up on stage, we will save a commemoratory seat for them, and y'all will remember that. Next up, we have another council member, Councilmember Mary Norwood. Mary Norwood. It's cool. I'm cool with awkward silence, so we're just going to wait. I'm good. That's the metaphor of our lives. All right. We're going to move to the next song. Next up, we have former COO of the City of Atlanta, Mr. Peter Amon. There you go. He actually picked. It actually picked it. Yeah, I remember. I know. It's cool. No judgments. That's great. It's a great song. Eminem freestyle was pretty crazy too. That was pretty. You can do that. All right. Actually, everyone exit the stage. We got to perform it. All right. Okay. Next up, we have the person who has confused my mother the most, Mr. Rohit Amamachelli, please. And Rohit is our youngest candidate on stage. Give it up for millennials. Stepping up to the plate. Last and certainly not least, we have Senator Vincent Fort. It's a great song. I was expecting you to, Thank you. Can y'all give it up for these amazing, amazing candidates? All right. Aren't you excited? Another forum. That's amazing, right? Woo! Awesome. Great. Well, we've been stoked about this particular forum. We have had an opportunity to spend one-on-one time with each and every one of you, and we really appreciated that time. We thought it was amazing to get to know your stories, who you are, and the work that you're doing. So as I said, we got a couple ground rules here. Only use your kazoos at the end. I will call for kazoos. This is not a soccer match, so just keep the kazoos. I will let you know when we bring those out. A couple things for y'all. If y'all can look under your seats, you all get a car. No, it has sirens on it. So there's you have a whiteboard and you have a pom-pom. So you got a whiteboard and a pom-pom. So I'm going to let y'all know. Thank you. Give it up for Councilmember Kwanzaa Hall. All right. So you have a whiteboard and a pom-pom. We are going to use both of those things, and please grab the marker as well if you can. So the whiteboard is going to be used a few times when we ask y'all a couple questions. You should have a black eraser as well for different questions. And the pom-pom is going to reduce us for you having to be like, and also I'm going to say the exact same thing that my person just said, but I want you to hear it on my words. We'd rather you not do that. We got pom-poms. If you hear something you like, give them a shout. So let's practice, if you don't mind. Just show a little support. Let's give it up. Let's show a little support. There we go. Awesome. Perfect. So.
Can I have a red and black one?
A red and black one? All right, great. There you go. All right. Okay. Atlanta United. Yeah. What's that?
Too much like Tennessee.
Too much like Tennessee.
Or half of Florida.
It looks like the sun, so it just keeps us warmer. It's good. So we're going to start this off. I'm going to ask you at the end who you think had the strongest answers as well. Want to get some participation. I am going to keep time limited. We have limited time with you, so if I do interject, it's not to cut you off. It's just to keep the conversation moving. Cool? We good with that? Cool. Team, squad, we good? Awesome, perfect. So the first thing we're going to do is we want to explore which of the candidates and how qualified are each of the candidates here. So I'm going to ask a few questions. You have whiteboards. If you could please write your answer on the whiteboard. When you're done with the answer, and you're going to get only 5 to 10 seconds, we just want rapid response here. If you can, when you're done with it, just put up your whiteboard so folks can see your answers. And then I have our resident fact checker, Kyle Kessler, here as well, who will make sure we get this right. Yeah. Awesome. This is the first forum where he's ever been wooed, so this is great. This is awesome. So I'm going to start us off with a little history. Cool? All right. Awesome. Great. This is great. So we actually, although this is a nonpartisan race, so none of you are actually running on a party ticket. It's a nonpartisan race, but that wasn't always the case in Atlanta. In fact, Atlanta started off with having 2 political parties. Does anybody, before you write it down, does anybody know what the names of those 2 political parties were?
Yeah, no.
Heard them before.
Huh?
I've heard them before, but no.
Yes, Senator Ford?
Temperance?
No. Not Whig? No. So it was actually it's the Free and Rowdy Party, the first one, and the second was the Mayoral Party, right? So couldn't be more perfect. It's great. The Free and Rowdy Party were actually a lot of people who were considered to be disruptive. They were the people who owned the bars, that were pushing the needle, that were trying new things. And the Mayoral Party stood their ground. They said, look, we have rules. We have to make sure we do it in this way. That we have to make sure that we keep law and order, that's how we keep peace. They were less militant. They said, let's actually start with peace. So I want you to write very quickly, of those 2 parties, if you were running on one of those 2 parties right now, which one would you be? Free and Rowdy or Mayoral? You have 10 seconds. No cheating. All right. All right, let's hold them up. Hold them up. What do you got? All right. Kathy Willard with Free and Rowdy. Caesar Mitchell with Mayoral. Free and Mayoral, sure. Yeah, absolutely. No problem. It's cool. That's why the polls do what they do. So the Eves, Mayoral. What do we have? Free and Rowdy for Miss Bottoms. Free and Rowdy, Rowdy for short. Excellent. Free and Rowdy and Morally.
Morally.
Okay, those are both answers though.
But no, it's a footnote.
You would do it morally. Okay, great, awesome. I was just looking for one answer, so that's cool.
I believe it.
I do it. No, it's all good, man. Rohit, Free and Rowdy, and what do you got? Free and Mayoral. Okay, great. Well, that defeated the purpose of the exercise. The purpose of the exercise was to get you to answer a clear question, which is clearly how the rest of this is going to go. That's fine. All right, great. So, my second question is, look, the city, we're not going to explain it. We're just going to move on to the next question. We don't got time, man.
Y'all got any beer in here? Because
there was beer outside, man. You were late, though.
bring me one, somebody.
So the city of Atlanta actually gets money from a lot of different places, and it also spends it in a lot of different ways. Hey, Mom, how's it going? Cool, thanks, buddy. We get money from a lot of different places, and we spend it in a lot of different ways. And there are a variety of different funds that a city has. So just for the audience, we have a variety of different funds. We have special funds. There's a fund that funds the airport. There's a fund that funds a number of, like, our watershed. A lot of those have recurring revenue. But we have one fund, which is the general fund. And the general fund is actually under the discretion of the mayor and the city council. And y'all approve it. Some of you actually sit on city council, and you approve that allotment of money. So my first question is, what is out of the general fund? So the answer is not airport. It is not free and morally airport and water. It is one answer, which is what is the largest source of revenue for the city of Atlanta? The largest source of revenue for the city of Atlanta. You should run for mayor next time. It would be great. Like, we needed more people, so it was just. All right. If you could flip it over with your answers. Property, 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 property. All right. Give it up. They all got the right answer. Excellent. So the largest source of revenue actually does come from property. We have 35% of our revenue comes from property, 19% from sales tax, 20% from utility and booze, and 5% for all of you who are parked outside illegally right now. So thank you for your contribution to the city of Atlanta. And maybe for those of you who put signs out where you weren't supposed to, but that's okay. I got in trouble for that. I got yelled at by the place. It's fine. So the next question is, what is our greatest source of spending? So where do we spend the most amount of our money from the general fund? From the general fund. The greatest amount of money that we spend goes to what from our general fund? Okay, try. Everyone's gonna cheat off you, man. Don't look. Yeah. Come on. This is still politics. Come on, man. I know it's cool, man. That's cool. All right, in 3, 2, 1, and if you could turn it around. Public safety, law enforcement, public safety, public correct, yeah. So, unfortunately, Rohit, you were the only one who didn't get that correct. It is police and public safety. If you could give everybody a round of applause on there. So, as you'll see on your sheets, police and public safety cost us about 34%, 28% for admin, 15% for fire, and 7% for parks and cultural affairs, where we have a $2 billion total budget. Thank you so much, Glenn. Appreciate it, man. So the next question that we have is around the salary of the mayor of Atlanta. So I wanted to know if you could write down what is the salary of the mayor of Atlanta. I know some of you looked at it a little closer than others, but the approved salary. No, just don't even add to it. The approved salary. There's one number. It's 1 through 100. You can use those. Approved salary. Ready? 3, 2, 1, and go. All right. Awesome. Okay. It is $184,300. $184,300. And I'm going to get to my next part of the question, which is not every mayor actually takes the full amount. The approved amount is $184,300. Nonprofit job. So just, it's okay. So $184,300, but not every mayor takes the full amount. How much of that would you take as mayor? Of the $184,300, if you could write down, I got you, buddy. I got you. It's a stressful question. All right, here we go. All right. So, how much of that would you take if you were mayor? And you shouldn't take too long unless you got to call your spouse or your friends. Or 3, 2, 1, and go. Half. 184, all for Hall, 184, 80. What is that? All right, 184. All right, got it. Thank you. All right, perfect. My follow-up question was going to be, how much would you donate? What charities would you donate to? But $300 is, thank you. Thank you so much. I'll hold you to that. No problem. If someone could wrap 12 T-shirts for him, please, that would be really good. All right, last question that I have for y'all is we actually are pretty well known for an incredible institution around the country. They are our neighborhood planning units. Our neighborhood planning units were first established in 1974 by the first black mayor, Maynard Jackson. And Maynard Jackson actually made the NPUs a part of our public charter. In that public charter, two major things happened. One was the NPUs being created. The second was that we had a strong mayor actually established, the actual office of the mayor and what that looked like. My question is around the NPU system. The NPU system, just for everyone out here, the NPU system was actually established to make sure that disenfranchised voices were actually heard as a part of the planning process. So neighborhoods would actually decide what their neighborhood would look like in the short term, in the midterm, and in the long term. And there was a lot that will just a second with that. But my question to you is, how many neighborhood planning units do we have in the city of Atlanta? How many neighborhood planning units do we have in the city of Atlanta? Ready? You're clearly still in school hiding your, I got you, man. That's good. All right. In 3, 2, 1, go. 24, 25, 26, 25, 26, or 2,526, 24, 26, 26, 25, 26. The correct answer is 25. 25 neighborhood planning units, and ironically, they are all named after what? They're all letters, and the only one that's missing is you. So that's actually the truth. There are 25, all named after letters. The only one missing is you. Here's the last question for this round here, around qualification is, what is your neighborhood planning unit, the one that you live in? What is your neighborhood planning unit, the neighborhood that you are from, the neighborhood you rep? Hold it up. We did our research, so. All right, I want y'all to cheer if they get the right answer, okay? Use your kazoos, please. Kazoo away. Miss Kathy Woolard is at NPUW. NPUW, yes, yes, yes. You just peed on the W, got it, okay. Woolard. Yes, exactly. They named it that way. Mr. Mitchell, yours is neighborhood planning unit T, like Tom. Let's give him a kazoo. This isn't a nonpartisan part. You can kazoo for people when they get something right. Glenn, you are U. It was W, but if you just take two of those, you have the right answer. That looks weird. Put that down. Perfect. Okay. Councilman Eves, you are I. Excellent. Kazoo away. Miss Lance Bottoms, Q is correct. Councilmember Hall, M is correct. Miss Norwood, okay. Mr. Amen, the letter B is correct. Rohit, the letter M is correct. And Senator Fort, the letter R is correct. Please give them a big round of applause. So, based upon this exercise alone, by kazoo, we want to hear who you thought was the most qualified to be mayor based upon these questions, okay? So, if you thought it was Miss Woolard, please give a kazoo. If you thought it was Council President Mitchell, my mother taught me differently. I'm sorry. So if you give it up for Caesar, if you thought he was the most qualified. Glenn. All right. It's cool, man. Eves. John Eves. Councilwoman Bottoms. Councilmember Hall. Peter Amen. Someone didn't get a kazoo. It's all good, man. Rohit. All right, and Senator Fort. All right, thanks for, great, I'm exactly where I started this conversation. I'm an undecided voter. Thank you for doing that. All right, so the next part of this exercise is going to be, we are at Dad's Garage. This is a improv studio, a place where we have seen some of the world's best improvisers. We're gonna play a game called Yes and. Yes and. And the reason we're going to play yes and is because the second thing, in addition to being qualified, is we want our next mayor to be collaborative. And the goal of yes and is not to shoot down the person's answer before you or the one that came before that. In fact, I think as the saying goes, George Washington was the only president to not blame his predecessor. So we want to make sure that you are able to build on the person that comes right before you. So say, if I say, I have a commitment to, dancing like a frog, and the next person who goes would be like, yes, and as you hop, please hop into my heart, or whatever it would be. It's cool. I'm not running. You are. So it's great. So what I'd love to hear is we're actually going to have a discussion on the last topic we just brought up, which was the NPU system. Now, the NPU system is one of the most important systems in our city. Although you could argue that it has not been at its best lately. We have seen the NPU system not be as funded as it should be. The staff allocation that used to be allocated to the NPU system has been very much depleted. We've had the commissioner himself say that the NPU system is a place where Atlanta could do better and we need to focus on it, but we're not. This is an opportunity for you as the next mayor of Atlanta. So I'm going to start us off by making some sort of commitment. I'm going to say, this is what I'm going to do. And then the next person who would like to come up will come up and say, yes, and I would also like to, but do not cut down the person before you. We will kazoo if you cut down the person before you, okay? So this is a collaborative exercise. You ready? Y'all ready? Cool? All right. So as the Center for Civic Innovation, the Center for Civic Innovation commits to spending next year actually talking to leadership in each and every neighborhood to ask them about the challenges that they face in running a NPU. And this is where you applaud and say, yay. And now the next person can start and say, yes, and.
Yes, and add committed staff to each NPU and fund them at a greater level so that we can really make the process work much better.
Yes, and I would build in a technical component to this so people don't have to drive to meetings to give their feedback.
Yes, and I would connect the center with the community leadership series that I helped to support and create as council president to give you greater support and to get more folks who live in neighborhoods involved in leadership in our NPUs.
Yes, and make some provision where more people can be involved with the NPU, and it's not some exclusive group in the community that controls the NPU. That's what needs to be opened up somehow to more people.
In the spirit of collaboration, yes, and include Fulton County, and the Atlanta Public School System in terms of the participatory process.
Yes, and I commit to receiving that feedback and actually making sure that we implement those recommendations. And, yes, and I ask that you visit the neighborhood community associations to get their feedback and understand why many are not involved in the NPUs.
Yes, and state leaders should be included, as well as childcare. Thank you.
Yes, and I would improve the NPU system by encouraging collaboration, either between the NPUs that are next to yours or having NPUs that overlap.
Yes, and I would make sure that the planners that are assigned to each NPU's job evaluation, is based on a higher portion of their work with the NPU. So planners will take their job more seriously and give better services to the NPU.
All right. Give it up for them and their commitments on the NPU system. So the next portion that we really want to be able to talk about is about being courageous. So in addition to being qualified, we also want you to be collaborative, and we're looking for courage. And that doesn't always mean that you have to have the right answer. Sometimes it just means being able to take a bold stance on something. So I have a few questions related to courage. And the first question is around taking a stand for something that may not be popular. So in 1963, Ivan Allen actually testified before Congress on the Civil Rights Act because he said that this is something we have to be talking about. And he was encouraged by a number of people in the city to not do it because it was, number one, politically unpopular in the city of Atlanta. And in addition, the most famous thing that was said to him was, you may not win again. So what I'd like you to do is to take your whiteboards out again, please. And in the same spirit where mayors around the country are standing up for the civil and human rights of people, whether it be against people who use statues as a way to talk about something deeper, or whether it is our own mayor showing up to say that we got to do something about climate change regardless of what happens at the federal level, that is important. I want to know, what will you stand up for that is not enumerated in the responsibilities of being mayor? I want to know what your protest sign would look like. What will your protest sign say? Something that you believe in, that you will fight for, that you're willing to die on the hill for, to show your political courage. So take a little bit of time to write that. I want you to take about 15 seconds. What will your protest sign say? So I'd love for each of you, and you can use the mics to your right or to your left, to be able to first show us your sign, and then grab the mic and let us know why that is something that you want to fight for. So whoever would like to go first, you can stand up and show us your sign, and then use one of the mics. Okay, all right. Let me give you this mic. All right. Can you read it out loud for us, sir?
If you want courage, you're looking at it right here. Organize homeless pathways, a homeless person's pathway system. And by that, what I think we should do is engage the homeless, and it may not sound attractive, but it's practical. That's my theme, is practical solutions. Have the homeless participate in recycling. Recycle everything, and have the homeless participate in recycling and reap the benefits of the money that's obtained through an expansive recycling program. And they would see a path for themselves into the future.
All right. Let's give it up for Glenn.
I would sue the big banks for impacts of predatory lending in Atlanta. The big banks, when they do predatory lending, bad subprime lending loans in predominantly African-American neighborhoods, they don't maintain the property. We pay for cutting the grass, cleaning and closing. And They evict people, foreclose on people. We pay for it. They ought to be held accountable. Supreme Court about 2 months ago said cities could sue the banks. So they need to be sued, and when I'm mayor, they will be sued so they can be held accountable and pay back the money they owe the city.
And if you agree as a candidate, you can use your pom-poms to show support.
No taking rights away from people. I've been fighting for people's rights my whole life, from women's reproductive choice to LGBT rights to rights of people to come here and live here safely to, environmental justice. I mean, people's right for health care. It's what I've built my career on and what I'll stand for as mayor.
Education is the most powerful tool that can be used to change the world, Nelson Mandela. I was a magistrate judge for 6 years, and what always struck me is that when men, primarily men, came into court, the vast majority of them had not finished 9th grade. And although the city of Atlanta doesn't have direct oversight over our schools, I believe we either pay on the front end or we pay on the back end. And the issues with crime in our city don't start when they are 18 and 19, and when these men are 20 years old. It starts when they are in 3rd grade or when they are in kindergarten and they can't read and they don't have the support that they need. So education, 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 intersection of all of our issues in this city.
None of y'all like education up here? Yeah. Everybody, we got pom-poms. It's cool, man.
All right. So, no anti-LGBTQ plus state laws. I strongly believe that the job of mayor is to stand by people and stand up for people. This is just one example of a group of people that I want to stand up for and stand by. But there are many others. I've talked about the need to remove Confederate Avenue as a street name. I've talked about the need to remove Confederate memorials. That's another area.
Senator stole mine, but I'll wrap it in. Banks give back, no more empty houses, apartments, or housing projects, and legalize weed. I will fight at the state to make sure that marijuana is legal in our state. Thank you.
So mine says enough of contracts taking advantage of people. And by that, what I mean is going forward, we need to build a lot of stuff, and we need to rebuild a lot of stuff. And currently, we have contractors that are friends with the city, and all we're getting in terms of motivation is sports stadiums, and what we really need is community centers and all the promises that have been made, like at the time of the Olympics and now when the Turner Field sale happened. We need promises that are going to be kept, and we need contractors who are actually determined to do that. So when I'm mayor, we're going to overwhelm the current contracting system by hiring a lot of people who are capable and actually delivering on their promises.
My protest sign will be, Atlanta is a sanctuary city. I was about a part of the process during the Obama administration in terms of this nebulous or this new concept of a sanctuary city. Originally, it was in terms of protecting the rights of the immigrant community, and I still stand firmly behind that. But I think as we go into the years of the Trump administration, my friends, I'm very, very troubled, and I'm very concerned about the divisiveness, and I believe that we're about to enter into a very uncertain era of divisiveness along racial and political and ethnic lines. And I believe that all the cities in the United States, we must take a stand. Because of our history, we're going to be a sanctuary city, not just in terms of immigrants, but in terms of the wonderful diversity that we have here. We're going to embrace diversity, we're going to respect diversity, and we're going to celebrate diversity under my leadership. Thank you.
My protest sign is 100% high school graduation in the Atlanta public school system by any means together. You know, for 12 years, I've had a program called the College Prep Series, and we've worked really hard to provide a free program for over 7,000 kids and their parents today to get one step closer to college and career. That takes partnership. I also passed legislation that requires parents to be more engaged with their kids to make sure they're not truants. And that wasn't an easy thing to do, but we pulled together a strong partnership with APS, with our school, with our court system, and with our police. I also stood up and said that the city of Atlanta and the Beltline needed to pay the money we owed to APS, because if we don't do that, if we didn't do that, we were not going to be honoring the future of our children. So standing in the gap for our kids is something that's very important to me. I'm the son and the grandson and the husband of an Atlanta public school teachers, and that means a lot to me, and I'm a product of the system. Standing up for this is going to mean that we've got to stand up to gangs that are trying to take our kids away from us. It means we're going to have to stand up and make sure that we're fighting at the state level to get all the funding we can for our young people. It means we're going to have to stand shoulder to shoulder with our parents and expect the very most and the very best from them in partnership in raising and educating our young people. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Is that everyone? All right. So we're going to vote. Would love to know which campaign sign spoke to you most. So if you could hold up your campaign sign one more time. That's okay, man. That's the political way. It's all right. Here we go. We'll do some rewrites. Thank you. Don't take someone else's answers, please. All right. So if you thought education with Miss Lance Bottoms was your campaign sign or your protest sign, Vuvuzela away. Sanctuary City. Oh, wow. These are really, really advanced kazoos. Oh, my gosh. Wow. Homelessness and recycling. All right. We'll get on that. 100% graduation rates. Together. No taking away rights from people. Legalize banks give back.
Legalize marijuana.
Legalize. Got it. Okay. I was like, oh no! Wanda! All right. Legalize.
Marijuana.
Banks give back. All right, Mr. Amen. No anti-LGBTQ plus state laws. If you've had enough with contracts taking advantage of people, and if you're down to sue the banks. Awesome. All right, still at the same place. So that's great. We have equal amount of support. Really excited. This is exactly how improv studios are supposed to be. So this is working out well. The next section is his password. Like that's just. These are newspapers that are very expensive to put ads into to do community engagement. So before I hear your answers, just know that the status quo is unacceptable. That we are not interested in the way community engagement has happened so far. In our evaluation, way too many people are left out of the process. So I'd like for each of you to be able to come up and quickly share the one specific thing you will do to increase community engagement. Don't reverse the question on I will increase community engagement by making it go up. Just we want to focus on how you're going to do that. So whoever would like to go first, we'll give you the mic.
So I find that people who run for offices, and this is the first time I've done this, but they seem to show up at your doorstep when they want money or votes. And I really think they should come to your doorstep when they want your opinion or engagement. So I said door-to-door opinion gathering. And of course, we're going to include the internet in that too. But not everybody shows up to an NPU meeting. We actually have to get out and knock on doors to engage people.
My politics came out of the NPU system. I was an officer in my NPU, and I was president of the citywide NPU system for 2 years, Atlanta Planning Advisory Board. So central to how I approach my politics is citizen engagement, and I would use the NPUs to organize mayoral town hall meetings on a regular basis, whether it be quarterly or biannually, so the mayor can hear directly from the people on the things that are impacting their neighborhoods.
Sorry, I didn't want to cross in front of you.
I would like to create a comprehensive app for meaningful engagement. Right now, we have multiple departments with multiple apps, but there's not one app that you can go online and have access and give feedback to everything that you need in the city of Atlanta. We are awaiting the creation of an app that I put in legislation for that even allows you to submit potholes and pictures and things that you do in the rest of the world. We just don't do it at the city of Atlanta. So one app for everything that you need.
Nerds.
Yeah, I'm getting pretty excited about what Keisha said, but so I'm gonna add to that and say interactive, instant online feedback. So imagine a platform where you could post a public works problem to an interface where you can see its current progress and everyone else who submitted something, and immediately as public works deals with it, they'll post on this same interface how far they've gotten. So that would keep the city instantly accountable for whatever problems that it's facing and fixing, and then everyone could know where the city is in terms of fixing it. That's what interactive, instant online feedback would do.
Okay, so I do things a little bit different in District 2. So we'll do mayoral coffees. I mean, I'm big on technology, so we won't even go down that. But mayoral coffee, so we can meet at any time, like I meet with many of you, just to kind of shake it up. Walk and talks, we'll walk around the community. After dark tours, if you've ever been on a Kwanzaa Hall after dark tour, you'll love it. And one DJ a day at City Hall. One DJ a day at City Hall. Thank you.
Kwanzaa loves after dark tours.
So my idea is a virtual town hall meeting. It's a spinoff from what Senator Ford said in terms of mayor hosting town hall meetings. We're doing it in a virtual way. And one of the things that I would like to do, instead of it being top down, let's make it interactive. There are apps out there now where you, as a viewer of the town hall meeting that's virtual, you can do a poll in terms of real time, A, B, or C, what are the things that you like that has been presented? And then you can quantify it in terms of percentages, in terms of ranking and prioritizing what the constituents hear and what their favorites are. And I think we can definitely utilize this under my administration.
Yes, sir. Hello. Yes, of course, as mayor, I'm going to have a virtual Atlanta app, website. We'll all be able to get into cyberspace and hang out together. But here's the real deal. When Mayor Shirley Franklin was mayor, and certainly when Maynard Jackson was mayor, they actually had come in and meet with the mayor, like nights in with the mayor, mayor's night in. But I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to build on a couple of traditions that I've been a part of, not only as an elected leader, but also as a civic leader in the city. I'm the past board chairman of Hands on Atlanta, and that organization, if you know it, is really about volunteerism and civic engagement to meet critical needs. In the city of Las Vegas, one of the former mayors used to just say, listen, I'm going to walk this path every day, and if you want to come have a conversation with me, come have a conversation with me, no appointment needed. While I've been on the city council as council member and council president, I've done a couple of things that really involve community engagement and service and addressing needs all at once. Number one, I've had something called public safety walks. So,
Stick to the new idea. What's the big idea?
Okay, I'm getting ready to give it to you. But I got. Okay, I took too much time. Okay, I'll wrap up. Okay, I'm going to expand on my public safety walks and my clean green team and the tradition of service, and have what's called walk and talk and serve with the mayor. And we're going to do that every month in some part of town in every way. Thank you.
Well, my big idea is I'm going to teach the Office of Community Engagement how to do it. I started my career as a community organizer, and that's how I do what I do. When Ryan Gravel and I started trying to figure out how to make the Beltline happen, we had over 90 community meetings all over the city. We spoke to small groups, MPUs, neighborhood associations, church groups, you name it, we spoke to them. And what we heard was exactly what's relevant today. Be careful about gentrification. We want to make sure everybody benefits from economic development. We want trees. We want parks. We want art. We want to make sure it connects to kids and that we know what the neighborhoods are like. And all of that's still relevant today because people told us that. And that's the kind of thing we need to get back to. If you tell us something, we need to reflect it back so that you actually see it happening. And that's what community engagement's about. It's not just hearing what you have to say and collecting data, but showing back to you that we heard you and that we're delivering on it. And that's what's going to be different.
I may have written my answer too quickly when he said, "What would you do now to?" And I wrote down computer labs and rec centers. You could have computer labs in the rec centers in 2 months. You know, and set that up. And I agree with most everything that's been said, and I think we should have a little longer public comment session at the city council meeting. You don't get a chance at the city council meetings for the public to express themselves.
Is that everyone there? Okay. I want to ask a couple follow-ups. If y'all can erase your boards, please. My next question is around the topic of Amazon, and a lot of promises are being made not just by us as a city, but by cities around the country, saying, "Hey, we will give you our shoes and who needs shoes in our city? Like, it's fine." They're giving up just everything to make commitments, and we're talking about in the hundreds of millions of dollars of commitments that are being made to large-scale corporations. Truth is that we can actually look at spending in this city, and there are some controversial decisions where corporations often get the better end of a stick than a small business. And we see small businesses leaving Atlanta. We see social entrepreneurs in our space saying, "Why would I build in Atlanta? I'll start there, and then I'll go somewhere else." What I want to know is one idea, and we don't have time to expand on every idea. I wish we could, but I want to know specifically, what is one commitment that we have made to Amazon that if we do not receive the headquarter bid for Amazon to come here, that you will still do for the people who already chose this city? What is one commitment that you would make to people who are already here that is being made especially to Amazon? And if you don't know about the commitments we've made to Amazon, we have some folks you can talk to. But or you could say commitments that we have made to larger scale corporations that we have not made to small businesses here in Atlanta that you would make sure that we do. Is that a clear question? No? Okay, what's not clear about it?
What are the commitments?
Sorry?
Call out some of the commitments.
Yeah, so examples of commitments that are being made around the country are tax breaks, new transportation, there are housing, and there are basically business license waiving. A lot of different commitments are all around. You can actually use Seattle as a great example of what Amazon has already done also to increase the economic vitality. But in addition to that, what's happened to people who used to call Seattle home? And what we want to know is, maybe you don't agree that there should be any protections put in place, but just want to know what are commitments you will make if we do not get this bid. What will you make to businesses that are already here? So I'll just read them out as you have them. Transit expansion. If you agree, if you could use your... All right. Build 5 transit lines simultaneously. Greater access to venture capital for small businesses and startups. Incentives for businesses willing to locate in underserved communities. KLB legislation spending will be okay. Oh man, you tricked me into that one.
It's already been introduced and will be voted on in the next couple of weeks.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Opportunity zone tax credits.
It's already in place. The state.
I'm going to stop the comment because I can't get to the next piece, but I'm going to read it out and you'll hear if people agree or disagree. All right. MARTA expansion. Invest in infill economy. We still waiting on you? All right. Legacy, oh my gosh. Legacy commercial corridor revitalization and incentives. Got it. Okay. If you agree with that. Build 1 mile MARTA rail dash yeah. Per year, sorry. Okay, cool. I was like, yeah, awesome, great, all right. So the reason we asked this question is that, we want to make sure that when commitments are made to others that want to be here, we also want to make sure that commitments to people who are already here are still fulfilled. The next question I have, which is the last question for this section, is for just a few of you. And the reason why is because recent reports and recent things that have come out are that male-led companies are significantly more likely to have instances of sexual assault and domestic violence against women happening within those companies. The question, if any of you male candidates are actually mayor, is not if that will happen, it's when it happens. What will you do about it? As somebody who served in an administration that now a lot of reports are coming out about, even whether it's Democrat or Republican, men have not been good to women in politics. And there is a fear that that could happen. So what one specific thing would you do to make sure or to protect against that in your administration if you are a male leader? What is something you will do? And I will ask the same question for y'all as well, but I wanted to get the responses from the males of the audience because I think we have a responsibility to say what will happen if that happens in your administration. You ready? Yeah, just one thing.
Well, first, I'm the son of a single mother, grandson of a single grandmother, and for me, it will be about setting the tone at the top. And I will make sure that, like with any other bad behavior, inappropriate illegal behavior, that anyone who is confronted with that behavior or is victimized in that fashion will know that they will not be retaliated against if they come forward. So a zero tolerance for intimidation and certain support for retaliation. For those who feel like they've been retaliated against.
One thing that I would do as mayor is encourage the city employees to have a bounce in their step. We need to have a greater productivity from the employees we have. And if employees are busy, they may not have as much opportunity to assault another person, but I wrote down just pink slip. I would give them a pink slip and fire them.
Sure, Rowie, we already have a tool in our toolbox. That's the domestic abuse unit that's a part of the district attorney's office. And that office is active. It can be a whole lot more active. It can be better funded. But there is a tool in the toolbox that's present but could be greater utilized and greater funded.
Just have to invest in training and harsh punishment.
So, along with ethics, in-person training for all employees, it's setting expectations. When I was chief operating officer, I was actually astounded at some of the things I heard in terms of management practices along the lines of sexual harassment and beyond. And so I trained all 2,000 people who are in management positions in person in groups of about this size. As mayor, I'm going to do it with every city employee.
said that you had to specify not if but when, so I would have safe havens for reporting and support, much like college campuses do, that certainly give the victim the benefit of the doubt in any situation so that they feel comfortable coming forward and reporting whatever happens and are assured that they will have the support when they get there.
During the last legislative session, there was an effort to relax the university system's prohibitions on sexual assault and sexual harassment. And we've seen the same thing on the federal level, where the Trump administration has tried to attack Title IX. But since then, this issue has hit close to home. And any mayor has to set a standard of training for every city employee. And if those city employees don't comply, there needs to be a solution, which will include putting them out the door, firing them, and then, if necessary, as John Eve said, making referrals to the district attorney. It cannot be tolerated, the victimization of women in the workplace, whether it be City Hall or anywhere else.
So, Ms. Bottoms and Ms. Willard, are we just mansplaining here? Is this like, are we totally off base? Is this can you call us on this? Like, what's, for both of you, I want to hear, and I'm going to give you the time, want to make sure that you're able to explain where are we off base and what are we getting right?
A city version of the Me Too campaign. I think we have laws in place, but when people do bad things, they really don't care about what the law is, and they don't care about what their training is. So I think it really is about empowering women and men to come forward, and so much of that has to do with not feeling alone. Many people, we have a great workforce, generally speaking, in the city of Atlanta, but oftentimes when people feel that they don't have a voice and that they've tried to come forward before and no one else understands and no one else stands with them. All the things that you see as we talk about the Me Too campaign that's happening worldwide, I think we need a version of that in the city of Atlanta.
So, is there anyone on this panel who has seen an instance of sexual assault or sexual abuse in their campaigns that they have acted on? Okay, thank you. So the next question, I want to ask is for the audience to see who here seems to be the person that will be most people-driven. So if you thought it was Ms. Willard, if you could. Thought it was Council President Mitchell. Thought it was Glenn. If you thought it was Chairman Eves. Thought it was Councilmember Bottoms. Councilmember Hall. You thought it was Mr. Amen. You thought it was Rohit. And Senator Fort. So the last set of questions, this one is another exercise of improv, which is around honesty and transparency. And so one of the things that we want as residents is not necessarily a perfect mayor. We don't need you to get every single decision right. What we want is authenticity. We want, when something goes wrong, that you are able to get up and say, that didn't work the way I wanted it to work. Or it could have been better, but it wasn't, and that's what it was. So this next exercise is called failure bow. And we're not using failure in the term of like everything has failed. Don't take the word so seriously, take the context, which is more important. Which is one thing that you would have done differently in this campaign season, or if you are somebody already in public office, something you would have done differently as a council member or someone who was in office, something you would have done differently. And audience, this is really important to have you involved because after they say it, we have to applaud. We want to make sure that it is completely okay to admit when things didn't go the way it was intended to go sometimes. So I'm going to give an example. I forgot my Vote ATL shirt today, but they have them outside. I wish I wore mine. My team told me specifically to wear mine, and I didn't. And for that, that is my failure bow. And I will bow. I will get there. So we would love to hear just something that you wish you did differently. If you could come up, say it, take your failure bow, and we will applaud you and woot you and thank you for being honest and transparent. Who would like to go first?
When I was a freshman council member, I actually hired my brother to do work for me in my campaign, in my council office. At the time I did it, it was completely in compliance with the code, but the law changed and I missed it. And as a result of that mistake, I went to the ethics officer myself and asked the question about the change in the code and actually opened the inquiry about it. And we found out that the law had changed and that at some point that I had gone out of compliance with the code. And so instead of just paying a small fine, I actually demanded to pay back full restitution because I knew that was the right thing to do. And so for me, it was a mistake I made, but I stood up and I owned that mistake and certainly wanted to do that because I did not want any taxpayer in this city to be out of one dime of taxpayer dollars because of my mistake.
Well, when I was a council member and then council president working on the Beltline, I wish I could have been able to see how incredibly rapidly we came out of this recession and gentrification caused such an increase in property values in such a short period of time. If there's anything I could have done in foresight to have made that not happen, I certainly would have. But now I decided to come back and run for mayor so that I could fix it.
I think the biggest mistake I made was not hiring a coach and getting schooled on how to campaign, and instead just being honest and assuming that the voters would pick somebody to be the mayor that would correct what we see at City Hall. The check engine light is on at City Hall, folks, and I'm the only candidate aside from the gentleman from Georgia Tech that has not been on the city payroll, it has not been on the government payroll. So I would have hired a coach, I would have made more promises to everybody, and I would have done a better job of campaigning.
More engagement with the planning department sooner. When I came on to city council 8 years ago, I didn't have as much of an appreciation for our planning process and department as I should have. So one of the big initiatives I've pushed has been something called Invest in Southwest, and it's been about balancing out the city and our community in the Southwest area, not just economic development, but also long-term development. And this is something I really began to appreciate the planning department and resources and the tools from the planning department a little, I guess, into my second term in a way that I wish I'd appreciated it more and engaged more in my first term.
round of applause. It's hard to say something that you thought you could have done better.
Boy, I fail so much, it's unbelievable. I don't even know where to start.
As long as
Depending
it stops.
Depends on what group I'm talking to. The urbanists, for sure. You know, honestly, honest to goodness, I would say I wish I would have had a relationship with the mayor a little bit sooner in terms of just having a dialogue and conversation. Because pretty much from 2002, but for sure 2005 or 9, we didn't have any conversation, even if we were in the same room and we were standing on the same program and cutting a ribbon. So, and that's only happened in the last 18 months to 24 months. So if I had to say, I think I could have helped to maneuver some of the things that might have been pains to constituents that I couldn't really have a conversation about. Yeah. Thank you.
Big round of applause.
I've been very outspoken for a little while on the culture of corruption which exists in the city and some of the particular aspects of that that frankly come into politics. I wish I had done that more aggressively and from day one, because I think we need to talk about it more. Thank you.
So mine says less missed opportunities. It could also be read as be less timid, because this is the very first political anything that I've done, but I felt like I had very important things that needed to be said. Thank you. Thank you. So that said, I felt like now, with a week left in the campaign, there were a lot of things that I could have done in hindsight that I know now, but I know I still feel like I tried really hard and did a lot of good work and got, you know, the conversation going in the right direction at least. So, well, thank you for the opportunities that I've been
In 2002, I helped to pass the strongest anti-predatory lending law in the country, along with Roy Barnes. In 2001, as that bill, when I first introduced that bill, I made a few compromises that in retrospect I probably should not have made, entertained some proposals that were probably not good, but we made up for it in 2002 when we were able to pass that law. But 2001 I'm ambivalent about, but we got it right in 2002.
Thank you. Can you give them a big round of applause for admitting to things that were tough? The next question, and we're going to have you use your whiteboards again, and we're about to wrap very shortly. Elections are really hard, and y'all are dealing with it. And you all, a number of you have people who either have your back as campaign staff, who have your back as supporters or friends. And what we realized, it was actually after a couple of these leadership breakfasts that we did with you, is that people can be really mean. And people say some things that are completely unacceptable. And there is, sometimes it's in jest, but sometimes things just get taken a little bit too far. And what we would like to see is to make sure that we're not doing that for the next week. That instead you fight for what you believe in, but you fight in a way, you stand on your principles without cutting down someone else. And sometimes that is the campaign tactic. When you have 13 people that narrow down to 10, the thing is to cut someone down based upon something that just got broken down into a meme. So what I would love to do is ask the first question, if you could write yes or no on a commitment to not cut down another candidate on stage or in the next week, to not cut down or insult another candidate, but to stick to policy. If you could say stick to policy, no personal attacks, no I will no personal attacks. No, you are, I hate your ears. Like, just none of that. I want to see if you will stick to policy. So if you could put your board up and let us know if that is something we can get as a... Nancy's Pizza Party. There you go. I'll not ask why once. All right, congratulations. All right, an outing to Six Flags in the Varsity. Woo! Glenn, if you wanted campaign staff, you got them now. More fun. All right, got it. All right, McFlurry. You love Eminem. Yeah, it's all around. A day off. Awesome. And allowed to rest. All right. Give it up for them and their commitments to their staff. We actually put together a small care package for each of you. We're not going to give it to you now, but it has things like you can go do yoga real quick, you can hit a gym, whatever you need to do. We actually are concerned about y'all. To be completely honest, we are watching y'all exhausted, and we need you at your top energy. We know this is tough. You don't have to come up with a smart response around like, but I'm the most powerful of exhausters. So, but it is really, really important you take care of yourselves. We watch entrepreneurs, our friends and our families, who ignore their personal and their mental health, and it is a dangerous thing, and we really hope that you'll pay attention to it. Not only yourselves, your campaign will help you with that, but also take care of them. We think that's a really important message to send with this piece. Oh, wow. As mayor, what would you do? Nobody, right? We want you to pick somebody who would compliment you, would be someone who would not compliment you. I know what some of y'all are thinking, but somebody who would be complimentary to you to make sure that you are the best mayor that you could possibly be. Who on this staff would you bring on as vice mayor? So in 3, 2, 1. Flip. Oh, nice. Nice. Awesome. All right. Congratulations. Yeah, that's great. That's great. You would have to deal with them for the rest of your time, right? Halfway there. Okay. And the last part of tonight is an opportunity for you to, the way we're going to close this out is something we call shout out. And so what we want you to be able to do is to shout someone else out on stage on either a policy that you really agree with, but say, I really agree with so-and-so's stance on, or I really liked when so-and-so said. Ideally, you pick something they said tonight. We know we haven't had much time to hear from everyone, but you've been hearing each other all day long. So something that they have said that really resonated with you and that you'll with you between now and the election. So anyone who wants to start, and don't use this as I'm the best. Just call somebody out. So it's a shout out. Glenn, are you okay?
I'm not clear on what it is.
So just compliment someone else on this stage. That's all. Thank you.
Actually.
Sorry, one other rule of this improv game is once you have complimented someone, that person does the next compliment, and they have to pick someone. So you can't just all pick Kathy again. Yeah, it's okay if they're not here.
No, I guess I actually do have to shout out Michael Sterling. I mean, he suspended his campaign to support me for mayor, but I'll tell you what I really was impressed with Michael. He had has a deep commitment to and to providing opportunities for young people. And that really has impressed me throughout this campaign, and his ability to articulate that every time we all got up here in forums.
Could you pick someone who is still in the race?
Well, he's still on the ballot, but I would say also, Rohit, quite frankly, because tonight he said something in a very succinct way that it took me about 2 sentences to say. And he's done that very well and effectively throughout all the forums. Tonight when he said he'd create safe havens for women to be able to come and be safe and free from sexual harassment. That was very succinct and straightforward and to the point, and he's done that very effectively during the campaign.
So if you could shout out somebody that isn't you. Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Awesome, great, prepared.
Thank you for that. So the shout out would be to Councilman Hall, because there are a lot of progressive policies that he's championed that I can't help but agree with, and would love to see those become, more fleshed out, more actionable, and help us, in the generally right direction socially.
So someone who is not Rohit and is not Michael Sterling.
Okay. Not Mary either right now.
You can cut if she's still.
No, I'm just joking. I don't mean in a bad way. It's just she's not here right now.
We invited all of y'all.
Improv.
We sent y'all the emails. We got
y'all.
confirmation.
I'm working on my material.
Look, we sent it to everyone. It's fair game. I got it.
Okay. All right. The
Note: if he
is,
calls you out, you are not committed to a night out with or the night walk with Kwanzaa.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. You know what? Let me see. I have to shout out Senator Ford, because I really do like his way of approaching the statements. He talks about a lot of the things that I agree with as well. Especially, I love the way he says City Hall has lost its way. And I have to say, you say that more succinctly than anybody else in this race. So I do appreciate that. And I'll just say, you've been a fighter for all the things that are right, and I appreciate you. Thanks.
Thank you. Are you going to do a Kwanzaa Hall impression now?
No, I'm going to give a shout out to Peter Amon, because he has, on several occasions, talked about the issue of race in a way that's very, very acute, very sharp, and interesting in a city where too often issues of race are talked about by African Americans or Latinos or Asian people and not talked about by others. So I've, over the course of these 150 debates, it's just been 150, I've been intrigued by his ability to talk about issues related to race, the Confederacy, et cetera, that sometimes are not talked about in the city.
Thank you. So I'm going to give a shout out to Kathy for being policy focused at every turn and really focusing on substance. In most of the forums, we all stray once in a while, but Kathy has been focused on substance, has been focused on transit, and has brought forth clear arguments about why she believes what she believes, and they're always well supported, and I think that's terrific.
Well, I will give a shout out to John Eves. He's not here, but one of the things that he talks about a lot is the public safety savings that we could have if we can combine the City of Atlanta Jail and the Fulton County Jail, and that's about a $35 million savings, and then there's some money you got to spend and this and that, getting down the policy road again. But I think it's great because we've talked about that at City Hall in years past, and I think that public safety dividend could be used in some really constructive ways to help kids who need our attention and need our attention in ways that don't involve jail. So shout out to him for that.
So if I had to assume, Eves would probably choose you, Glenn. So why don't you go next? Or why don't you go next?
If my math is correct, I'm going to shout out Ms. Bottoms here, and I want to say first that I'm more impressed with people that have qualities that I somewhat lack, and I am impressed with her ability to articulate and to say what she's thinking about, absent whether I agree with her policies or not. I like the way she can articulate what she's saying.
Well, this one may be shocking, but I'm actually going to give a shout out to Senator Ford. I think it, and my mother reminded me in 2008, you told her I was smart, so I don't know if he still thinks that or not. But no, although we don't always agree on the process, I think that his goals are often admirable, and I do think that he's done a great job of engaging young people in the process and getting their interest in what's happening in the city. And they are engaged and in a meaningful way, a very vocal and meaningful way.
All right. So we're actually going to close this out early, which is, yay, awesome, oh my gosh, Atlanta. So what we'd like to do is I'm going to give the audience a few details of what's happening next. But if you can write down the one person who inspires you, the one we're not going to talk about them. We just want to the one person that you think would be most proud of you after this election. No matter what happens, the person that would be the most proud of you. For y'all, what'd y'all think? Good. Are there any undecideds that made up their mind tonight? A few? Okay. So if you still are looking for some more substance, some more questions and answers, on voteatl.org, we have written answers. We have 90-minute interviews that you can watch and listen to. You can really spend some time getting to know the role of the mayor, what they do, and how they do it. We are actually doing an after event at Sound Table. So if you'd like to mix and mingle there, still talk politics, grab a drink, you're more than welcome to do that. We are so thankful that you took the time to be here. We hope that you'll think very seriously about who it is that you're going to vote for as the next mayor. But know that it's not just mayor that we are electing. We are also electing a city council. We are also electing a school board. And we are also electing a few state seats that may be on your ballot, and also an interim county commissioner. So it is very important that you read up on who it is that's going to be running this city, because they will be making decisions on your behalf. And thank you for showing up, but also know that there are a lot of people who couldn't, and we know that. And we're going to do everything we can through our ambassador program to make sure people get this content and information from this into their own neighborhoods. But we need your help to make sure that those who are not able to go to forums, those who may not have access to the internet to be able to check these things out, please help us and let us know what we can do to make sure that information gets to them. You could buy a T-shirt. The T-shirts, thanks, Dale. The T-shirts are designed by our team. It helps fund all of this type of work that we do, and we try to make sure as many of these things are as free and open to the public as possible. So if you want to learn more about the Center for Civic Innovation, we're at civicatlanta.org, and we are, again, so thankful. So with that, I'd love for each of you to just shout out just the name or the person who you thought of. So Senator Fort, can you kick us off? My children. Rohit. My sister Roshni.
My wife Lisa and my children.
All right. Wife and children. Wife Natalie. My mother. Nice. Awesome. All right. Thank you. Yes. Awesome. Great. Awesome. Great. As you exit, you'll be able to vote on who you thought did the strongest today. We'll be reporting back on that data. Can y'all join me in giving a rousing round of applause? Thank you to each and every one of you. And thank you for your public service. Thank you, Dad's Garage. You could go down and make your way to the lobby.